when the ball gets small. And I've done lots of activities with kids, just passing it around the group so that each student has a chance to lead the breath. And you can combine that with lots of different activities too. You can take a breath with the ball and then say one thing you're grateful for, or one color you notice in the room, or whatever you want to incorporate into something that they can notice as a part of that turn taking around the group. I have a page of quite a few of the children's books that I found that I really like, so that's a list of some of them. They're all at my office at school, so that's kind of a preliminary list, and I'll add to that and pass that along to you if I go through my bookshelves and find other ones. But these are ones that I really have enjoyed sharing with groups. Generally, these are, I would say, like young 5s through 3rd grade, although I would say some older kids have enjoyed some of these as well. I have a website that I set up as I was doing these different programs so that teachers could have access to videos. I found lots of teachers felt like they really liked the practices that I did when I came in to visit their classrooms, and then didn't feel as comfortable leading the practices themselves. So I made some videos that are like really low tech, low budget. I made them in my office at school. So those are ones that have breathing practices that you might find are helpful just to see a demonstration of how to do it, and then you can share it with your students. So, and then there's some other links to some videos and things on that website too that you might find helpful. But that has several breathing practices in particular that may be helpful for you to add to your bag of tricks. And then the slide here that I have is, again, the more I think about how to help teachers create an atmosphere of mindfulness in their classroom, is really just finding ways to make it a habit. It's a practice. So it's something that just needs to be part of your routine every day. One of the things that I've been myself wrestling with a little bit is the fact that I don't necessarily find long chunks of time to practice mindfulness. When I'm on vacation, or when I have specific times where I'm thinking about working on my mindfulness practice, then I may set aside 15 to 20 minutes to sit and pay attention to my breathing. But on an ordinary day, that's not what it looks like for me. And I've been hearing that from more and more teachers of mindfulness meditation, that it's not something that you need to feel that pressure of, I need to be practicing 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night for it to work. There's research that shows that there's a lot of benefit to that, but there's also research that shows that there's a lot of benefit to just having it sprinkled throughout your day. And I've kind of been thinking about it in terms of how I drink water, that I know water is something that is healthy for me to have as a part of my regular diet, but I don't drink a huge bottle of water first thing in the morning and then I'm done. I have water throughout my day. So I've started looking at mindfulness practice in that same way, that I take sips of water and I take sips of mindfulness throughout my day. And what I have found is most helpful for me is kind of to create reminders that sort of trigger my brain to say, okay, take a minute to take a sip of mindfulness. So little suggestions that I have are anytime I wash my hands, that's always a time where I sort of have to pause what I'm doing anyway. And even if it's just one breath, but when I finish washing my hands, I just take a moment to take one breath or 3 breaths, or sit down for 30 seconds or a minute if I need to, and just have that be a moment where I pause. Some other things that might work in your classroom. I've had some teachers tell me that they just set a timer on their phone, and every time the timer goes off, they take 3 seconds or 30 seconds or a minute, whatever works when that timer goes off for them and for their class, and they do, either one of the practices on the bulletin board, or they let the kids decide. I know some teachers have shared with me that they made a little jar of popsicle sticks, and they wrote down different breathing practices on the popsicle sticks, and then they would just pull one and say, okay, let's do take 5, and they would all do take 5 breathing together, and then they'd go back to work. One of the easiest times that I have found to build it in is any time that you're making a transition from one activity to the next. So if you're coming in from lunch and getting ready to sit down for like some quiet reading, to sort of transition from one thing to the next with some mindfulness. And again, you can let, if you have a helper of the day, they can choose what practice you do. If you have a favorite one that's just a really easy, you don't have to put pressure on yourself to do something different every time. There's benefit in repeating practices. So if you do the same one every day for a week, that's actually really good practice to build the comfortability with that particular practice. So I guess as you're kind of thinking ahead to whenever we are back with our students, maybe what that might look like in your classroom, to just create some different times throughout your day where it's just 10 seconds. It doesn't have to be a significant amount of time. Don't feel like you have to start building in 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the afternoon for mindfulness. That it can just be, okay, we're going to line up to go to lunch. Before we walk down the hall, let's do take 5 breathing together, or just take 1 breath together. And those little practices help build up that resiliency in your students' brains for those tools to be helpful when they need them. So I hope this video wasn't too difficult to hear or see or anything like that. And hopefully, if there's another time that we can arrange to get together, I'd love to do that. This is a topic that I really feel passionate and excited about, and I was really grateful to be asked to share what I know with your group. So hope everybody is healthy and doing well and staying sane in this craziness, and we'll hopefully see each other soon.